Alrighty. Hello and welcome to the Machine Lord YouTube channel. I'm Jeremiah, the Machine Lord, as I've been famously called by spam accounts on Instagram. That's where that name actually came from. This is like the first real video on this channel. Everything else has just been, hey, look at what I did with some weird Subaru. But now I figure, I'm doing so much unique stuff now at this point in my life that it really does deserve to be preserved on the internet in some way, shape, or form, because the number of people that are going to go back after me and do anything close to what I've done is going to be very small, but at least I'll have lit a path for them to follow. Stuff like this project here, which I like to affectionately refer to as the Haltech skid steer. Why is it called that? It's powered by a Haltech Elite 1500 ECU on the original 983cc Onan NHC engine. So all I did was mount a trigger wheel onto it, couple of basic sensors, and I was able to get it fired up spark only. Now the real challenge is occurring where I need to put a high pressure fuel system in here. I need to put throttle body injection in here, adapt it to the old intake manifold, plumb it back to the cyclonic air cleaner, and then of course tune it, which is actually really nice and easy on this because this machine essentially has a built-in dyno. And it's that thing right there. That is your hydraulic lift pump. So that drives your booms, does the bucket tilt raise. It's really nice because you got that governor on the engine, so you can set your engine speed. Then you just bottom out one of the cylinders and it applies maximum load to the engine. And then you just tune it so that you get the maximum RPM on the governor and you're done. You've just found MBT, you've just found peak AFR, you're good to go. Pretty simple to tune. This right here is my dad's skid steer. This project is actually why I bought this, because this was all taken apart. So this here is a early 80s GL 2600. This one here is a 2500. The deal with this one is it broke the little driveline coupling in between the two transmissions. And so I thought, cool, all right, take the transmissions out, reseal them because they leak a whole bunch. Maybe some new like bushings and stuff, skim the center sections inside the hydrostats, put it back together, happy days. And then it just kind of escalated, and now it's a full-on restoration where the whole frame is going to get sandblasted, repainted, going to do new wheel bearings, all new hydraulic lines, possibly even cut out and re-weld the new hydraulic tank because that one is pitted out really bad and it's on the verge of leaking. But that wasn't the worst part of it. When we got these two transfer cases torn apart, you can see actually one of them here that's been disassembled. I actually do have one fully ready to go again though. The problem was, this machine, you'd push it back and forth and it would rock quite a bit, but never thought anything of it. Ended up pulling apart both the transfer cases, and sitting in the bottom was a handful of Torrington needle bearings, which, yeah, that's not so good. What had happened was when whoever Gale contracted to build those transfer boxes, whoever built the ones that went into this machine, they forgot to put in the thrust washers for all the gears inside. So all the Torrington bearings failed because Torrington bearings, they can't do thrust load. There you go. That was fun. So now we got damaged gears inside the transfer cases, damaged shafts that the gears rode on. It's a whole mess. But luckily most of it's savable. The gears are so big in those transfer cases, I'm not really that worried about it. But it does definitely slow us down a bunch because now we got to do just a little bit extra machining, find some other odd, unique parts. Yeah, so I see this project getting done maybe about 2025, 2026. It's slow going because it's not really that much of a priority. This has to get done first, which, I got to put the rebuilt engine back in here and then get the Haltech on it. But what we're actually working on tonight, why I started the video, is for this little mini bike, which this is going to be my pit bike this year for SCCS Autocross. I have no clue whose frame it is, like in terms of what manufacturer. No clue on the year it was made, but it's really a nice frame. I got it for free from a guy from the back of his shed for doing some work for him. I saw it on the side, just behind his shed there, and I'm like, hey, what's the deal with that? He's like, oh, it's some old piece of junk mini bike frame. You can have it if you want it. I'm like, oh, all right, sure. I've got a few engines lying around. I'll take that. This, I've actually had a number of engines on it. It had a 5-horse flathead Briggs. Then I put a Predator 212 on it. Then I put an 8-horse Tecumseh H70 on it. And all three of those engines have tried to kill me. So the attempt now is to build a fourth engine that does not kill me. So what I've come up with is a Honda GX120, so that's 120cc, 4 horsepower Honda horizontal shaft engine. But then we're going to put a Honda GX160 cylinder head on it. And I bought a lot of engines and then just stuck them on this shelf, forgot about them, went through them, and they both had GX120 recoil covers on them, but turns out one of them was actually a 160. So I stole the cylinder head off that, and I just like playing around with it. Wanted to see if it would actually fit, and oh my goodness, a GX160 head actually fits on this block. It's amazing. The valves are, no joke, double the size, which is going to kill torque really well. That's the thing here. I don't want torque, but I do want a little bit of high-end grunt. Perfection right there. I also got the Tillotson TCT mechanical fuel injection carburetor there, so that should work pretty nice. I'm excited to get it thrown together. Did have to take this engine apart, take the crankshaft out and get that machine because it used to have a water pump crankshaft in it. So turned that down, 3/4 inch keyed shaft, standard deal. No big surprises there. So tonight I want to get this thrown together and get it running. So should be fun. I've got all the parts, gaskets, and everything ready to go. So it's just a matter of just throwing it together, getting it done. Well, we were coming along pretty well here. I was about ready to slap the sump on. I already got the head on, a new head gasket. I mean, I was cranking. And then I found this problem. Let's see there. You get it all lined up. Yeah, that's not right at all. Methinks they shipped me a GX160 or 200 sump gasket instead of a 120 sump gasket. Oh, this is not good. Well, I guess it's time to establish if there's enough thrust clearance in this crank so that I can just stick the cover on with RTV. If not, I'll have to order the right gasket. So that's a shame. Thought I was going to get it run tonight and it was going to be so easy. We were going to have basically a top fuel GX120, but no, it's not going to happen. Good news. Just bolted the sump cover on without any gasket in there at all, and I can still rotate the engine over nice and free. So I'm just going to RTV that. It'll work good. Generally, these Hondas are pretty good about this. The Briggs and Stratton engines, though, you cannot do this at all. The thing that allows me to do this here is mainly the fact that the crank rides on ball bearings. And Briggs, they just use the aluminum case as a journal bearing, and then they actually have like a tapered kind of bearing up at the top, and so you have to have that thrust clearance perfect. And pretty much every time I've tried to assemble a Briggs engine without the base gasket, they just lock right up because that tapered bearing just tapers together and locks. So not as critical of a thing here, but if you're working on a Briggs with the tapered upper main bearing, you have to use a gasket in here. I really wasn't happy with how my exhaust rocker arm was sitting there. So I took a look at the guide plate for the push rods, and it's pretty wore right there. Yeah. So right there, you can see how it's got that little groove worn in it. That's no good. Being that I want to push this engine to extremely high RPM, because it is capable of 18,000 on paper, mind you, on paper, based on the stroke length, it's capable of 18,000 RPM. With the gears in that main bike, that would be about 130 miles an hour. I don't plan to kill myself anytime soon, so yeah, I'm not going to go quite that high, but it might see 7,000 RPM a couple of times, which is still a pretty scary speed. But yeah, this would probably even be bad for 3,000 RPM. So see you later. I'm going to take the one off the GX120 head. We'll get back to work. Things are actually going pretty well so far. It's not terrible. All right, after hours of massaging certain parts to get them to fit, because this combination of parts is not meant to go together, I got an engine together. Got a fuel system hooked up to it. It's time to see what it does. I'm really excited. This I believe it's a world first. I don't think anybody's ever done this before because either nobody had both engines side by side and looked to see what parts they could swap or something like that. Do need to hook up the kill wire, which is this one coming down here. This is confusing. I think that goes there. This goes here. And then this goes here. Or something like that. Alright, well, ignition is on. Maybe I should give it a spritz of something. Where's my brake clean? Now, if you're going to use brake clean as starting fluid, you have to make damn sure that it is non-chlorinated. Because if it's chlorinated, you'll die. Not joking. If you burn chlorinated brake clean, it creates phosgene gas, which is extremely toxic to humans in very small concentrations. Basically what it does is it destroys the lining of your lungs. You suffocate. Okay, throttle is minimum. Got full control over the governor. I got the spark plug wire right here. I can rip off if I need to. I got a kill switch as well, so got that. There's a fire extinguisher within line of sight. Let's give it a go. See if I can break my hand. There's no real good way to hold on to this. The idle is set a little bit high, but that's pretty good. A little bit of smokies, but she cleared right up. That's awesome. Actually, it runs pretty darn good. I need to see what I can do to get that idle down. Ow, there's a hot muffler under there. Of course there is. Let's see, idle speed adjustment. How do I do that on the Tillotson TCT? I don't quite remember. I know there's an Allen screw for it. Take the carburetor back off, or the base plate for it. Yeah, that's good to see how well it ran though. Like, it was happy. It was just whizzing right along. It did not care that it has the total wrong cylinder head on it. That, like, yeah, where you reuse the rings, which is not necessarily a no-no. Okay, yeah, there's our idle speed adjustment right there, and it is pretty much cranked all the way in. And see, guys, this is why you have a carbon monoxide detector in your garage, because right now it says 61 parts per million. So I'm going to open the door. Let some of the smoke out, let some of the fumes out, even though I ran it for just a couple of seconds. Crack open some doors, get things a little bit better ventilated. Wrong size. Will it still work? No, it won't. How about this? Yeah, the Torx works. I mean, not ideal, but we'll just screw that all the way out. Oh, that's all right. Okay, so yeah, we're still on, and That's going to be a lot of fun on that mini bike. So yeah, just get a little bit of tuning on that, tune the idle. It's going to be a nice little machine. It's going to be fun. Well, it's about 11 o'clock at night. I think it's about time to wrap it up. The carbon monoxide level is up to 85 parts per million with the doors open. That's right, with the doors open. So that's why, people, you really don't want to be running these engines for that long indoors. But there you go. That is possibly the world's first GX120 160 hybrid. And it actually runs really, really nice. I'm surprised. But you saw this thing almost do a wheelie there on the concrete when I gave it a good blip of the throttle. So yeah, she's making some bank as well. This is this is awesome. So cool.